Hassan Ghani is the regional manager for Islamic Relief Canada. Islamic Relief works with communities around the world to strengthen their resilience to calamities, and they provide vital emergency aid where disaster occurs. The work they've done in BC has been amazing, especially in terms of helping to organize and facilitate delivery of emergency aid to flood reliefs, to the fire reliefs. Hassan himself has gone on the ground to many of these locations. I can attest to that personally. Their efforts in Canada have focused on not only aid, but also youth development, women empowerment, supporting Indigenous communities, building relationships between the Muslim and Indigenous communities, as well as newcomer and refugee support, and these emergency humanitarian responses. Also, Hassan is the person who brought forward the idea of a humanitarian coalition, of how we can speak with one another and connect so we can share our understandings and best practices, and just to be on the same page as organizations doing the nonprofit work to support our communities. So thank you so much, Hassan. I know it's very late where you are. He's in Medina, Saudi Arabia at the moment. So thank you for participating, and we'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here tonight or today. Huge shout out to Brother Tariq and the foundation team for having me here, and the work that you guys do. Again, apologize if I'm a bit slow, if I stutter a bit. It is quite late here, and it's quite hot here. So in regards to what we do, like Yusuf mentioned, and I'm actually happy that I'm going after everyone else, because it really packs, and my point really packs and sums up everyone else's point. Us to work together, kind of something about Islamic Relief and about what I do with Islamic Relief, just to get my point across better, in regards to the humanitarian coalition that Yusuf just mentioned. So I've had the opportunity to visit not only in British Columbia in regards to the fires and floods, but as well as our international work. So Islamic Relief has offices in about 40 countries around the world, and kind of similar to Khal's Aid, we are UK. We were founded in the UK, and we operate in a fundraising capacity here in Canada, United States, UK, and we implement quite a bit of our work, in Africa, in the Middle East, and Asian areas of need. Personally, I've been able to visit mostly areas in Pakistan, North Pakistan, and Balochistan. These are areas that have been quite hit by droughts, especially Balochistan. So Islamic Relief has been able to build micro dams. Actually, organizations like World Food Program and other humanitarian aid organizations are able to kind of consult from Islamic Relief. Even the government there, the local government of Balochistan, actually refers to Islamic Relief's projects whenever they're binding something into their mandate. So here on the local level in British Columbia, as Yusuf mentioned, and I've been very familiar with actually all of, from Finesse to, Khal's Aid, and, the local municipalities that we work with, nothing but helpful and open door policies from the local community, anything from feeding us food, to giving us clean water. It's always a joy working with them. So kind of my point was, just bringing everyone together. I'm just going to quickly open up a PowerPoint if I am able to share my screen, hopefully. Share. Just going to put it on slideshow so everyone can see that, correct? Yes. Awesome. So I'm just going to skip a few of these points I've already mentioned. So just our previous work, similar to the other organizations, once the flood happened, we had 18-wheelers roll in from Alberta. Our office in Alberta supported that. A huge thing about us is we really want to invest in mitigation. And that's one of the big topics of today as well, is what is the preparedness behind, tomorrow if there were a disaster. Us as organizations and us as communities, how are we working together in order to be prepared as much as possible. A big thing about us is also a multi-phase approach. So we don't just look at the next day or two or the next 3 days. We want to look at the next year, 6 months, and 1 month, just kind of boiling it down. What investment opportunities do we have for municipalities or fellow organizations who need that help, who are able, who have that accessibility? Like Finesse is a really good example of that, where they have that direct link with communities they work in, or firefighter organizations are a good example of that, where they are, they represent a specific a job or a duty or role in this response, and it's very important. We've been able to support shelters, provided immediate emergency aid in the next few days after the disaster, and anything leading up to the next few months in terms of infrastructural support, planting trees. I think the biggest municipality that we've worked with in mitigation and infrastructure is actually the city of Chilliwack. So kind of the main point for today from our side, before I take up too much time. So Islamic Relief is part of this humanitarian coalition. It's 12 of the leading charities in Canada. Some of these names might be familiar to a lot of you guys. In a nutshell, what we do is we come together whenever there's a major disaster or crisis. For example, the Ukraine crisis that's going on right now. Islamic Relief, a good example for us is when we took a major role in was during the Lebanon blast, the Beirut blast that happened in August of 2020. So Islamic Relief was actually leading the response for that, and the Canadian government was actually funding it. So the biggest, I think, outcome of the humanitarian coalition is where major charities are able to kind of link up, share data, share their roles and assets, and sit down on a table and really not work in silos. And that's something we've noted in the past, 2 responses, from wildfires in Lytton to the floods in the Fraser Valley and interior BC, where there was a lot of repeated effort. There were trucks being turned away. I think this was from the floods. They were going into Chilliwack, and the food banks just couldn't accept that much aid. They didn't have space. So a lot of mitigation on that end is needed, a lot of communication. And this is kind of an opportunity, not only from the government level or the services level, but also from the organizational level, where we should be able to sit down on a table and be like, and have that coordination and be able to communicate. We're going to zone A, city B, whatever it might be. We're providing this aid. This is what we're able to do in whatever our capacity it is. Maybe even open the door of collaboration even more. So it's really, the potential is just sky high. You could go anywhere with this thing. And this idea is really purely for collaboration. It isn't meant for, one organization to take the lead or a government to take the lead. It's really for collaboration and everyone to play their part and role in. Again, kind of the next steps and action items, at least from our end, and it's, again, take this as an open invitation for everyone in this call. Doesn't matter if you're watching or if you're part of the call. We have been in coordination with the provincial government. Nikki has actually been a part of that. We wanted to kind of go official with it, have that letter open to the public, and cultivate those lines of communication with fellow organizations, and formally propose that collaboration and take it from there, at least before the next disaster, because we know it's around the corner, unfortunately, and it's just up to us how prepared we could be, and again, where we want to take this thing. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and thank you for having me.